Hello, my name is Chavi Dharmawardana and my student number is 10336734. Today we'll be talking about managing change at Serenib Salt Private Limited. It's about privatization and productivity improvement of a salt manufacturing plant in Sri Lanka. We'll be going over a brief overview and then moving on to an introduction of the organization that is under study, rationale for change and change management, the change process, and then the reasons for selecting the study, the purpose of the study, materials and methods used in the study, and current status of change. And then moving on to suggestions and finishing off with conclusions. Overview. This study assesses management of change undertaken in a company which began immediately after privatizing with the intention of transforming failed traditional government organization to a profit-making modern business. Introduction of the organization. Lanka Salt Corporation, as it was called under the government management, was under the government management till 2011, and it was one of the three largest salt manufacturing sites in Sri Lanka. Now, one of which was acquired by Serenib Salt Private Limited in 2011, and Serenib Salt is a subsidiary of IMS Holdings Private Limited based out of Colombo, Sri Lanka. And I was privileged to be a part of the acquisition and to witness the acquisition and the change management process from 2011 through today, as I work as the capacity of a group director at IMS Holdings. Rationale for change. Lanka Salt Corporation burdening issues. It was a company that was low in productivity and performance. It lacked quality. It had absolutely no brand or brand image. It was riddled with corruption and inefficiencies. It lacked safety standards, which led to some health issues of the laborers. Lanka Salt Corporation was also a very low performer. Production levels were less than 10% of the annual capacity. It has a capacity of 28,000 metric tons per season, and therefore the government had to import large quantities of salt from countries like Thailand and India in order to meet the requirement of the country. The change process. Organizational change structures were introduced. Traditional hierarchy of top-level managers were replaced by modern private organizational structures. Regional development officer, who was the main officer in charge of the site, was replaced by the position of a general manager who reported to the board of directors. Departments were introduced at site. Earlier, during the government managed days, it had most of its departments were in the city, which is about 200 kilometers away, and therefore the new private company, so Serenib Salt, introduced departments within the site itself. So therefore, on top of the Department of Production, Accounting and Finance, Department of Human Resource, Logistics, Sales and Marketing were introduced. In addition, employees were given job descriptions and bigger responsibilities, and the power was changed from that. Processes and procedures that were a part of the change process was production process was changed. Maximize production through effective utilization of resources, reducing wastage of resources, increasing production efficiency, etc. New technologies were introduced, such as ironing machines, automated packing systems, computerized accounting softwares and accounting systems, and so on and so forth. HR functions were also changed. Focal points were the management and leadership styles, cultural components, perception, attitudes, beliefs, myths, stories, etc. Organizational knowledge, cohesion and unity was developed. Environmental concern was developed, and social welfare was looked into. Reasons for selecting the study. All relevant data from all departments are readily available for the study. Information can be gathered through proper approval of the board of directors and on ethical grounds. Outcomes can be observed easily. some important confidential information can be accessed easily. The ultimate desire here is to access the effectiveness of the change management process through matching change process against standard change management models so that the gaps can be identified to suggest improvements to flourish the change process and improve the company. Objectives of the study. What were the changes undertaken and how well do they match with Kotter's change management model? What were the effects of different activities of change management on productivity? What were the leadership styles used for change management process and how have those styles contributed to change management process? How could the change management process be further improved and advanced the productivity of the organization? Materials and methods. The model used in this study to compare change process is Kotter's model, Kotter's change management model. Kotter's model is an 8-step change model with specific steps in the model include establishing a sense of urgency, forming a powerful coalition, creating a vision, communicating the vision, empowering others, and plan for and creating short-term wins, consolidating improvements, and finally institutionalized changes. Moving on, we used all 5 departments to gather data, and we questioned and observed many employees. We conducted interviews and handed over questionnaires to gather data. Some sample questions that we used are as below, shown on the slide. Vision and mission of the company, was it clearly described and explained to you? Again, moving on to the next slide, it shows more questions, example questions. And was feedback given about your contribution to the performance in change process? We received good relevant training regarding the expected change. And employees in different divisions were asked to fill these questionnaires and rate them in a scale of 1 to 5. Questions were split into open-ended, close-ended questions, and some to fit the Likert scale. Now, as you can see on this slide, this is some of the open-ended questions, and a mix of open and close-ended questions on these slides. And close-ended questions are given to a production officer, and so on. Now, data was collected from and analyzed from 5 managers, 2 executives, 8 non-executive employees, 10 production employees. Overall, all departments were considered, and as many as possible employees will be considered. Considerable number of training programs were held during the change. About 40% among the 25 currently assessed employees have participated in training programs. Many of the manufacturing employees stated that they have learned new things from their job. Overall knowledge through this change management process has increased. Involvement in the decision-making process. Employees received opportunities to contribute in the decision-making process and the change management process. Employees are effectively and actively involved in the business, so therefore their work efficiency has improved. New technologies have been introduced. New technologies in the production sector has been introduced, and utilization of resources have been improved, wastage have been reduced, and overall the production efficiency has increased. The current status of the change management process. The process to compare our change management process conducted at Serendip Salt to Kotter's model. Now, there were certain activities conducted throughout the change process and which could be matched with Kotter's model. The following table in the slide will show you the activities that we conducted against the model features. explaining the importance and convincing for the involvement in the change process in individual level. Involvement of top level management relates to establishing a sense of urgency. Combination of managers, resource persons within different departments, creating a guiding coalition. Developing new procedures and structures and department-based planning relates to developing a vision and a strategy. Communicating the vision among all employees in the organization, communication systems were developed, processes were automated, and meetings and discussions were improved in changing structures and adjusting procedures to achieve objectives and goals. This relates to communicating the change vision. Assigning teams for special tasks and working as cross-divisional levels. This relates to empowering broad-based action. Guiding supervisors at manufacturing for achievable weekly, monthly, and seasonal targets it relates to generating short-term wins. And of course, gaining the contribution of every employee, motivating them towards future change, is consolidating gains and producing more change. Improving both formal and informal communication systems, creating teamwork-oriented culture and proper leadership is anchoring new approaches in the change in the culture. Now, the change management process used a few different a leadership style that followed the features listed on the slide. Charisma. Top level managers going and talking to each and every employee on a personal level, which was not a practice during the government managed days of Lanka Salt Limited, and which was a new practice and new change that was effectively administered by Serendip Salt. Inspiration. A lot of the managers and a lot of the directors visited the site constantly, and from head office as well, and walked about with the people, the laborers in the fields, and they adopted the management by walking about style, so which is an inspiration to their employees. And intellectual stimulation. Fixing communication barriers, creating training and development programs, establishing new strategies, and mentoring programs for new employees were created to do intellectual stimulation, considering individuals, looking into each and every employee's welfare and developing welfare for their benefit was also adopted. So the leadership style of the top management was similar to transformational leadership. Effect of the leadership on change management. Unity and teamwork was improved, conflicts were reduced, interdepartmental collaboration was increased, contribution of employees to the company was improved, motivation towards future changes were developed. Emerging issues. Emergence of free riders. Lack of education slowed down the training and processes. Overloading the work in some departments. Turnover of loyal but retarded employees. How can change management process be improved? Methods such as reinforcement may be used to manage free riders. Training programs must be specific and planned according to the importance. Training programs for employees at manufacturing departments shall be planned based on educational levels. Improve the current HRM process integration. Retired employees must be given special attention at training. Turnover of loyal but retired employees must be managed by proper training programs and more individual focus. Finally, as for conclusions, the change management processes match Kotter's model with deviations. There are gaps to be filled compared to Kotter's model. Features of other models such as reinforcement and organizational development models were also used. There are issues and barriers that occurred at implementing change and in the process of change, where further improvements are needed. Leadership pattern was similar to transformational leadership. Both change management activities and leadership patterns used in the company has contributed to the change management process. And I hope you enjoyed this slideshow. Thank you.